How did the weird kid at your school earn that reputation? Story 1. He used to sit in puddles to get sent home. Then the school realized and stopped sending him home. He carried on regardless. Reply 1. Had a kid do something similar in 2nd grade. He peed his pants one day and was sent home. Like a week later, I was in the bathroom and he was splashing and rubbing water onto his crotch with this huge grin on his face. And then he ran out crying that he'd peed his pants again. He was once again sent home. Well, like a week or so later, he tried to do it again. And the teacher caught on, and so did the nurse and kid's parents. When he went to the nurse's office to call home, there was already a fresh pair of pants and underwear waiting in a bag from his parents, just so that he could stay in school. He got called pee pants for years after. Reply 2. I'd rather be called pee pants for pulling a stunt like this than for actually peeing my pants. Laugh out loud. Reply 3. Yeah, I'm sure every kid would believe that he was just joking and didn't actually pee his pants. Story 2. He had a walking stick that he didn't need and claimed it had a sword in it. We all believed him for about a week until he started claiming only the worthy could pull it after we tried to get him to show us. Reply 1. This could have been me. If it was, no, it did not have a sword in it. What I actually said originally is that I had one that had a sword in it, not that the one I brought to school was that cane. I wasn't dumb enough to try to bring that particular cane to school, or pretty much any public place. Once the rumor started that I had a cane with a sword in it, I got tired of denying it, so I made the joke that only the worthy could pull it out, like the sword and the stone from Arthurian legend. I still like canes and have a small collection. I have one that has a gun in it too. I don't really use them anymore though, unless I've blown out my back or something like that. Edit. Sorry to burst everyone's bubble, but I'm pretty sure they weren't talking about me now. It's just a coincidence how similar the stories are. I genuinely thought it might have been me, but U/National Moose 2283 appears to be significantly younger than me, so the dates wouldn't match up. Reply 2. Dude, this would be the most worthy post if it is actually you. As the resident weird kid in my own school, I totally get this. You make a joke, but it's dry humor and you never specify that you're joking. It just goes over everyone's head, and wouldn't be made any better if you then tried to explain yourself. Story 3. He baked a cake for the class. It was nobody's birthday or anything. The weird kid just baked a cake and brought it in. The teacher confiscated the cake and brought it to the teacher's lounge instead of throwing it away. Another teacher had a slice and it had the kid's pubic hair baked into the cake. Never saw that kid again. Story 4. She used to have long-ish hair. One day, she decided to get a pixie cut. Nothing too unusual so far. What made it strange, however, was that before cutting her hair, she had braided it into a thick, neat braid and brought it to school. That day, she tucked the braid under her beanie and went around to every teacher and acquaintance, asking them to pull her hair. Those who complied were met with a surprising twist. They'd end up holding the braid in their hand while she burst out laughing, cracking up as loudly as possible. Story 5. The weird kid at my high school got into an argument with a pretty popular kid. The popular guy wanted to fight. Weird kid told him that if he wins, then he gets to keep popular guy's thumbs. They didn't fight. Story 6. He had just transferred to the school, and to introduce himself he said, "What's going on, everyone? And I effed my stepsister thinking that would gain him popularity points. His stepsister swapped schools again not long after because it was apparently true. Reply 1. I went to school with a guy that effed his girlfriend's mom. The part that upset me is that instead of going to prison for statutory rape, she just got fired from her elementary school teaching job and went on to have a very successful career in real estate. And this guy's girlfriend stayed with him. Story 7. Always wore a different shoe on each foot, smelled terrible, and never brought a lunch. This was a Catholic school that cost a decent amount of money. Turns out he was just really, really poor. Everybody looked out for him afterward. Another girl was 12 and pregnant, and her mom was 24. Her baby daddy then killed a 7/11 clerk with a shotgun and made national news because he said he wanted to know how it felt to kill someone. Reply 1. Turns out he was just really, really poor. Everybody looked out for him afterward. That's actually encouraging. Hope it helped the kid out emotionally/mentally. Kind of an odd situation, though. Was he there on some sort of scholarship? Or did his parents think the only education worth getting was a religious one? Reply 2. No, his grandma paid, I think. He got removed after 1 year, probably for not paying tuition. It was weird. We had brown envelope day every week or month. We brought it home, and the parents either wrote a check or sent cash back in the envelope. The teachers sometimes would be almost yelling at the kid to remind their parents about the brown envelope. Always the same kids. I was one of them. It was years later that I put it all together. I bet I was in the 5th grade before I realized what was going on. Our secretary worked in the basement and smoked non-stop, Jeanette. Yeah, Brian had it tough. He was the first but not last kid I knew that had no food in his house. Like none, no furniture really, no toys, no nothing. I thought I had it bad, but I didn't. I never heard from him again. It's so sad I think back and realize how many kids I knew were sexually abused. I had no clue back then, and I was not the type of kid that others would confide in. I was the kid parents looked out for, and abusers would have been in their best behavior when I was around. I was noisy and pretty smart as a child. Now I'm dumb and stick to myself. Story 8. She had neurodivergence issues. A bunch of other girls had a bulletin board outside the classroom where they always hung out, and posted notes and crude drawings making fun of how other people, including her, dressed and acted. Like Facebook bullying, but before social media was invented. The school turned a blind eye to this until one day she took a lighter and set the board on fire. Then the school suddenly cared a lot, and she was expelled. Reply 1. Of course the school would side with the bullies. Should have burnt down the whole effing school too. Reply 2. This form of bullying is both ahead of and behind its time. It absolutely mirrors cyberbullying on social media, but I'd also expect this stuff scrawled on a wall in ancient Rome. Yao do you like me no? How do you like me now? Story 9. Dude ate a lunchbox of ground coffee every day for lunch. No drink. Just the powder. And this was at 9 years old. I still sometimes wonder if he survived a childhood. Reply 1. He was being neglected by his parents and likely packed the most convenient thing he could at 9 years old. Maybe he even took ground coffee because his parents wouldn't notice it missing, or it was the only thing he had access to. Never know what someone's home life is like behind closed doors. Reply 2. This is what I was thinking. His parents weren't giving him access to food, so he packed what he could. Probably saw his parents using it in the morning and didn't understand what it was for, just that it was edible. Reply 3. There's also the added benefit of caffeine being a hunger suppressant. He eats coffee in the middle of the day, and he probably wouldn't feel super hungry again until later that night when he got to eat sleep for dinner. Reply 4. Yeah, I used to think my friend at school was a bit odd for always bringing a full sleeve of saltines and a small jar of peanut butter for lunch every day until I started hanging out at his house and found out they were broke as hell. And his parents were basically never around, so he was basically living feral in there. And he didn't know how to cook a single thing, so he just ate whatever was in the cupboards. Dude was a super nice headbanger metalhead. Kinda guy, we swapped CDs and talked about music. All lunch break, and you'd probably never have known that he was basically living by himself at 14-15. Story 10. Dale. Wore only black t-shirts and camo pants every day. Had bug eyes and was small even for a 5th grader. At our annual required school play, he chose, in front of the entire school, to play the kid who gets hypothermia. He stumbled all over the stage stripping off his clothes because he was so hot, and the teachers couldn't catch him. He fell off the stage into the kindergartners with his pants around his ankles when he finally dramatically died. Legend. Reply 1. Was the paradoxical undressing part of the script, or did he write that in by himself? Story 11. He used to eat milk-bone dog treats, had a tail, a clip on one, and obsessed with tactical gear / backpacks and flashlights. He's a janitor now. Story 12. I was friends with the kid in grade school, Joe. Joe was losing his baby teeth. He had a crush on this one girl, Carla. He ran up to her in the playground to show her how loose his front teeth were. She called him gross, so he punched himself in the mouth and knocked out 2 of his baby teeth. He then chased Carla with his teeth clamped in his tiny, bloody fists, screaming, "How do you like me now?" He was my hero. He was sent home. The next day, he came back to school with the 2 teeth in a tiny box. He was later sent home for shooting the teeth through a straw, things so during class. He would retrieve the teeth, rinse, repeat. What a menace. He is now a MD, happily married, but not to Carla. Story 13. We had a kid who would march up and down the halls yelling military marching cadences. He would have his iPod in, and apparently all that was on there were marching cadences. He also never talked to anyone. Every day, all day before class, marching. Going from class to class, marching. After school, to the bus, marching. All while yelling those cadences. Not saying / singing them, yelling. We were all convinced he was going to shoot up the school. Reply 1. We were all convinced he was going to shoot up the school. Well, at least you'd know when he coming. Story 14. He was into anime when that was very much seen as for losers. He always wore a Sailor Moon shirt. During a middle school dance, the last song of the night was My Heart Will Go On, which I guess was his favorite song, and he started slow dancing with his arms around an imaginary partner. I hope he's had a good life. Story 15. Had a German foreign exchange student that dressed like Willy Wonka and carried around pies. For a while, I thought the only English he knew was, "Do you like pie?" He was weird as crap, but always smiling, and the pies were good. Story 16. Theater kid who wore a bowler hat all day every day for a year. Dressed and styled his hair like an emo kid, but would get really mad if you called him an emo kid because he hated that music. It was me. I was the weird kid. Reply 1. Could you tip your head and roll your bowler hat down your arm and catch it? Because during my bowler phase, I could. Story 17. We had a kid who used to hiss at people if they got too close to him. He'd randomly meow during class too. I think he was just really into cats, but it definitely made him stand out. Reply 1. We had a hisser too. She was also the president of the after-school anime club, which didn't help her reputation. Reply 2. That's exactly the type of person I would expect to hiss at people. I don't think anime makes people weird, but it sure seems to attract less strange people. Story 18. We had a foreign exchange student that was pretty awkward, and a kind girl bought him a blue Powerade when he forgot his wallet one day. A week later, he returns the bottle to her full of cum. We didn't see him anymore. Story 19. Made plastic weapons with various school supplies so he could shoot stuff at people. The weird part is he shot them at the other outcast kids. While he's probably a successful engineer at this point, I did get the pleasure to see one of the math nerds slap the crap out of him in retaliation once. Story 20. He pretended to be airbending at recess because he was obsessed with ATLAI when it first came out. It's me. I was that weird kid. Reply 1. It's okay. I became a dinosaur for a few years after Jurassic Park came out. Just like the Dad and Step Brothers.
Thanks for watching until the end. If you have a similar story to these that you want to share with us, please leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like and subscribe. For more videos like this one right now, please stop by our channel. Thanks again, and see you next time.